Welcome to the Love Your Life and Yourself podcast, the weekly show where science meets soul and mom chaos meets mind mastery. You're not just a mom. You're a woman with dreams, a career, a body that needs care, and a soul that craves more. This podcast is your permission slip to stop surviving and start thriving in motherhood, health, career, and stress resilience. I'm your host, Dr. Ashley Rath, and every week we bring you actionable insights and transformative conversations to help you create a life you truly love. From evidence-based wellness strategies to authentic self-discovery, we'll explore what it takes to thrive through expert interviews and real unfiltered stories. Let's dive into today's episode. Okay, welcome everyone. I am so excited to have a dear friend with me here today. And today we are joined by Jared Sebesta. He is a dynamic storyteller, former TV meteorologist, Amazon best-selling author, and a powerhouse behind the Life Undeferred movement. So after years in front of the camera on TV, Jerrid made a radical pivot, walking away from a very successful TV career to become a transformational coach and keynote speaker. So, through his book, Life Undeferred, and his podcast, The Breakthrough Effect, he challenges us to rewrite our stories, unlock the dream life already is inside of us, and live with urgency, alignment, and purpose. So, stick around as we unpack this journey from meteorologist to really mindset architect and discover how you can start living your undeferred life today. Welcome,
I
Jared.
love it. Thank you for having me. It's
You're
exciting.
welcome. I'm so glad you're here in person. I don't get to do in-person podcasts very often,
Yeah.
so this is a treat for me. So let's start off with your story. So tell us where you are, how did you get where you are,
Mhm.
who you are, where you come
Who
from.
are you and why are you here?
Yeah,
Type of thing.
right.
Yeah, I like that. Well, I'll give you a condensed version. A lot of people know me as a TV weatherman. That's kind of how I'm known. You probably don't have a lot of ex-TV weather people on this podcast.
First one.
I can imagine. But that's kind of how I was known. It was actually a really good fit for me. I joke that this is really all I can do is talk, and there's probably a lot of truth in that. So it was actually a pretty good fit. Grew up here in Southwest Minnesota, where you're located. Ended up leaving my TV career, found a job in the financial world, serendipitously kind of back where I was from. And we were just going to do that for a couple of years and then, move west to where my wife and I met in South Dakota. And that was going to be kind of the plan, so to speak. And here we are 11 years later. And and we have like twice as many kids now. And so that's that. But, I think I, I've always been okay with taking some jumps to be a little bit more aligned. A lot of people ask me, "Why did you leave TV?" It was a great job. It was a lot of fun, but it really wasn't a full expression who I was. You know what I mean? I didn't really step into that 10 years ago, but as I, you know, got to be 40 plus, probably a little bit of a identity crisis somewhere in there, maybe a midlife crisis. And then COVID happened. That was a really big one for me. COVID really brought to light a lot of just old mindsets, ways of thinking and I just remember getting like so sick and tired of it. And in chapter 1 of my book, I talk about a flagpole moment where this is honest to goodness true. It was on New Year's Day, not far from where we're sitting right now, on a walk with my wife, and I remember saying to her, "I'm just tired of living life this way." Just playing defense. The way that I was going to win was I was going to play as small as I can, and that was going to be my ticket to winning. And what what I realized is really there was just something inside of me that just wanted to come out, and it was tired of being suppressed. And that was kind of the first time where I started taking, I would say, pretty aggressive, offensive steps to really becoming who I was. And I started asking questions. I started reading books. I started going to conferences. This is a true story. I wouldn't spend $30 on a book 4 years ago. Like, this book will change your life. And I'd be like, it's a lot of money, And so I started, I started being okay with just, going to conferences and stuff like that. And that led to another kind of breakthrough and another shift and another book and another conversation, another relationship. And I hired my first speaking coach, which I've never done before, like 2.5 years ago. And I said to him, I said, I want to get back into speaking. I'd been speaking kind of part-time and COVID kind of killed all of that, as you know. And I said, but I go, I'm different. I go, my message is different because I'm different, and there's this transformation happening. And I don't even think I really even knew what was happening, but I was changing. So therefore my message was changing. And I said, I got this weird idea called Life Undeferred. It was kind of a joke,
Mhm.
and I asked him, and my speaking coach is big time. He wrote a book and he's doing massive stages. And I said, here's what Life Undeferred means to me. You can defer life and we can live this template, small version of really not even who we are. And we can take that to the grave and we can defer life. But I go, undeferred is when we step into who we are. We discover how we're created. We start finding alignment. It's where we start finding true connection with who we are. And I said, is that a valid idea? And he goes, 1000% yes.
Yeah.
And it still took another 2 years of me developing that before I stepped away from my W-2 job in the financial world and now do this full time. And I've written a book about it. But that's kind of how we got here. It was really, I kind of got to the end of myself.
Mhm.
I remember, you'll laugh at this because you know who we're talking about. But we were in family counseling one time for one of my daughters, who will remain nameless. And this counselor I had never met. She didn't know me, and of course she's meeting me and my wife, and she looks at me and she goes, "Jared, what's your story?" And so I was like, well, I bust out like because I've psychoanalyzed myself 1,000 times,
Mhm.
right? So I was like, well, so I gave her like the 12-minute Cliff Note version of my life. I was raised in a trailer home. I was raised in a kind of dysfunctional family, alcoholic throughout the whole thing. And this is a true story, actually. I get done explaining my story, and she looks at me and she's big sigh, big pregnant pause, and she goes, "God, it must be exhausting being you." And I was like, "Yeah." And that's what I said to her. I
Wow.
go, "Yeah, it's freaking exhausting trying to keep this ship afloat." And so I am learning that there's a different way. You know what I mean? There's a
Mhm.
different way to do life that you actually will get farther if you settle into this edge, the emotional, the spiritual side. Some
Mhm.
people teach grit. Guys like me are wired real hot. I don't need grit. I'll grit all day long. I
Mhm.
have too much grit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm discovering kind of there's a better way of like looking inside, discovering who you actually are, connecting with that, combining that with the work, and you create this beautiful life that in the subtitle of my book, I call it bold and exciting. And so that's a long answer to a very simple question, but that's kind of how we
No,
arrived here.
I love that. And it's powerful because I think so many people have a similar story where they're in a position, whether that's in a relationship, in a job, in what have you, but they know in their gut that like this is not me at
Mhm.
100%.
Yep.
Like this is not my full potential. Like, yeah, it's okay, it's doing its work, but like, am I fulfilled?
Yep.
Am I living out my purpose? Am I, like truly authentically being me
Yeah.
in this role?
Yep.
And most people, that's a no.
Absolutely.
And so the courage it takes to be able to find another job or quit the job or find another relationship, etc. That that is bravery. That's a
Mhm.
lot of courage to take. And so I think that story is super powerful because so many people can relate. They may not have taken that next step yet out of
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
because it's scary.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
talk to me about that transition because
Mhm.
you've had kind of 2 big ones. Like, one was out of TV. You moved, 2 hours away,
Yep.
to kind of your hometown again, but a hometown that really didn't have a very good past for you with
That's a really interesting point. Yeah.
with your childhood,
Yeah.
right? And then that job led to now this, like, very much more fulfilling
Sure.
job, scary, because now you're like, "Holy crap, I don't have a paycheck every 2
Yeah.
2 weeks
Yeah.
or, month or whenever you get paid," because it's like, "I gotta do this on myself."
Yeah.
Like,
You get
this is on me now.
yeah.
So, talk me through kind of that game that most
Mm.
likely is playing in your head
Yeah.
or was playing in your
Yeah.
head.
Yeah. I think our lives are more choreographed than we're led to believe.
Mm.
I also think that our lives we probably have a lot more power than we're led to believe as well. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So you bring up a good point, and I'll just address it briefly. I was like, of all the places for God to bring us after I left TV, He brought us here. And to your point, I was like, huh, because that did play into my psyche, and I think that I think I found a lot of healing in that,
Mm.
but I had to be brought back here, kind of to the epicenter, so to
Yeah.
speak. So it's funny. So there are clues. If people that are stuck, because a lot of people are attracted to my message and they're stuck and they don't even know what the next play is. And I'm like, your life has left you clues if you have the boldness to look at it. Look at it like a movie. There's different acts in a
Mhm.
play. There's plot twists. And so I would just challenge people to consider that if they feel quote unquote stuck. By the way, you're only as stuck as you think you are. I say
Mhm.
that from stage all the time. Now, if you believe that you're stuck, you're stuck. But you can reframe that. And the truth is that there's a plethora of options. You're never really truly stuck. So just talk about, again, like that move and what that felt like. And again, I've said this on my social medias. No disrespect to my previous employers. TV was great. It was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
My previous boss in the financial world, we're still friends. We still do business together. In fact, I probably add more value to his company now that I'm kind of just a contracted employee than actually working there. What was actually happening? I was out of alignment.
Mhm.
I was out of alignment. That's really what it is. When people have that stirring, that my life isn't bad, but gosh, there's something else for
Mhm.
me. Usually people around my age, I don't want to age you, but usually around my age, they've been working a job for 20 years. They're
Mhm.
probably making decent money. They're not spiraling out of control.
Yeah.
They're probably successful in a lot of ways, but they feel like there's this amiss. It's always comes down to an alignment issue, right? And so people commend me for my boldness. The truth is that I really didn't have a choice. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
I had to take the next step to really become who I wanted to be. You know what I mean? I love this idea of becoming. It's not the next job. We spend so much time chasing shiny objects, right? Like this, once I
Mhm.
finally make this much money and I get this thing, then I'll be fulfilled. And as you know, it doesn't work that way. And I'm not against shiny objects. I love shiny objects,
Yeah.
but it's a becoming process. So when people are stuck and they come to me, they'll say, "What do I need to do? What do I got to do next? Like what's the next job, or help me find the next thing?" And I always say it's not a conversation of doing, it's a conversation of becoming.
Mm.
Who do you need to become? And
Mhm.
so I've always kept that in the back of my mind. Let me rephrase that. I've especially kept that in the back of my mind over the last couple of years. And I think that has been such a guiding light for me into what I do now because I've answered that question several years ago. Like when I'm operating at my highest level, who am I?
Mm.
And what am I doing? And we were just chatting even before we hit record. And, when you're 46 and have four kids and you're fully self employed, it's scary,
Yeah.
right? But
Mhm.
I forgot, and I mentioned this to my wife last week. I actually forgot that I don't ever feel out of alignment anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I don't
Mhm.
ever, if there's something that I don't worry about, that's the one right there. Like, if
Mhm.
if I were to really be real with myself, there's nothing that I could possibly be doing that's more in alignment to help people, that's in alignment with honoring my story, my creator, my family, my gifts than what I'm doing right now. Scary? Yes. But out of alignment? No. And so I just challenge people to think about that.
Yeah.
Like, where are you out of alignment? What percentage of your day, your life, are you doing things that are resonating with who you are?
Mhm.
When I contemplated that coming out of COVID, I was like, it's like 10 or 15%,
Oh, it's
maybe
yeah.
less.
Yeah.
And I go, the things that really set my heart on fire, I'm doing them a micro fraction of the time. The other stuff isn't bad. It's just not in alignment with who I am.
Yeah.
And I had to make that decision.
Yeah. I wanna unpack a couple things with that. One, because I just did 2 articles on exactly what you were just talking about, stuckness,
Mhm.
and then the "I'll be happy when."
Yeah.
Um, and let's start with the stuck. And, when I was doing some research around this and playing around with ChatGPT, actually, it was really interesting. What I found is that all a lot of times when we're stuck, it's not that we don't know the next step. We actually in our intuition. Maybe it's not conscious or like we're not aware of it yet, but it's almost always this like anxiety of what we're going to become or what we have to let go
Mhm.
to get there.
Sure.
And I think, especially when you are, in maybe I keep using the example of a job or a relationship, but when you're in there and it's not that bad,
Mhm.
but it's not that good, it's like your next step, but that next step is scary.
Yeah.
And what would that do to, you know, all the other things? You go through
Yeah.
worst case scenario, when we know Napoleon Hill is faith and desire. Like, if
Mhm.
you have such a strong desire and faith, like, you can do anything.
Sure. The fact that you don't well, let let me rebuttal that even though you didn't give me a
Yeah.
question and I jumped in here. If you feel stuck, something needs to die,
Mm,
okay?
I
Now, I
like
don't mean
that.
that physically, clearly, like if you
Yeah.
think of a person you don't care for, I don't.
Yeah,
That's not what
yeah,
I'm saying.
yeah.
Psychologically,
Yeah.
emotionally, a part of your identity must die, has to.
Uh,
So again, I listen to a lot of Dr. Joe Dispenza, as you do. He talks about your personal reality, how you think, how you act, how you feel.
mm,
People want transformation, they want breakthrough, but yet they refuse to change any of those three things or even one of those three things. And you can't have that because your reality, is just a reflection of your personality. And so if your personality never changes, how you think, how you act, and how you feel, you will not never get a new reality. So something must die. And then at the very same time, there must be something that is new, that is born, right?
mm,
So some questions that I will offer, to audiences when I'm on stage or doing seminars, I'll say, what do you got to stop doing right now? What must stop? And you probably know, if people are real, they know.
yeah.
There's a habit, there's a relationship, there's a crux, a crutch,
Mhm.
and it must stop. But then what must you start?
Mm.
What must you start doing immediately? Disciplines. Um, you know, I'm just using trivial, obvious answers. Exercise,
Yeah.
meditating, reading, positive thinking, reframing. You need to start taking action. Again, people want new realities. They want breakthrough and they want to step into who they are. They don't want to get stuck, but yet I'm
Yeah.
never going to take action. Well, okay. That, here's a business owner. Like I will tell you, since I've been now a business owner now for a year, as I tell other aspiring business owners, I'm like, if you aren't geared up to start taking some massive action, dude, it's not going to happen. If you're not okay with taking some action that's going to make you feel really uncomfortable, don't bother. And that's why a lot of people don't own businesses because it requires that.
Yeah.
So, but why is that so important? And this is why I love this conversation. Did, does God make it that way to make it difficult? Like, is it is it just because like that's the process or what? Here's what I believe. When we have to get real about who we are, when we have to kill some things and then start some things, it will take belief.
Mm.
It will take faith. It can't not. And by the way, if it doesn't, then it's not. It might be something that's out of alignment or certainly not big enough.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So like when you can get people to start dreaming about a destiny that they didn't actually think is possible, and then you start helping them take action, they get super uncomfortable and they will have to rely on belief or what I would call faith or illogic. I just did something on Instagram this week where I talked about you cannot operate out of logic all the
Mm.
time.
Yeah.
Logical mind is good. When you meet a bear on while you're hiking, logic is good. The bear could kill me and I should run. That's logic, right? Illogic would be like, I'm going to take this home as a pet. That's illogic. Now, when you're talking about your future and your destiny, illogic is good. It's very good. And so I'm constantly trying to reframe logical belief into illogic. And that's where the magic happens. And so if you are going to take steps and if you want breakthrough, it will require you to rely on faith and have this illogical belief. And the more certainty that you have in that, the more you will do it and you will actually co-create a new destiny.
Mhm.
And so I'm looking at how all the pieces of the puzzle have come together, and you can start actually creating a framework that other people can use to create their own breakthrough.
Yeah.
And so it comes down to this discovery of who we are, alignment, destiny, belief, illogical faith, right? Certainty, action, aligned action, not just floozy action, aligned action. And when you can get people to work in that framework, you want the one of the guys who I work with, he goes, I feel free. And I'm like, damn, dude, this is so deep. This isn't about like somebody starting a new job.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like what the work that you do, you're setting people free. Like this is the ultimate game where I can feel free and at ease and I can have peace. And I'm like, that's the biggest flex, right? I mean, nice car and a big house is fun. But like, if you don't have peace, what do you have, right? And so that's what I have to keep remembering that, because my logical brain will look. I did this the other day. I looked at my schedule and I got 4 months out and I had I have no income on the books 4 months out. Now, my logical brain says, Jared, just go get a job. Just stop. But my illogical brain says, that's fantastic, because that means the biggest opportunities yet are coming. And twice in the last year since I've been fully self-employed, I've looked ahead 4 months out and I've had no income on the books. They've been my biggest months. So I'm like, okay, what caused that? My belief did. Did I conjure that up? I had a say in it.
Yeah.
But my belief is what did it.
Yeah.
And so when people want breakthrough, dude, how big can you possibly think and actually believe it? And you've met those people who, like from high school, maybe, from a long time ago, and they're like, there's just something off about it. He had this insane idea and he was so crazy, he thought it would actually come to fruition. And you look back at some of those people, and by golly, they did it.
Yeah.
They flipping did it. Is it because he or she was crazy smart? I know a lot of those guys from high school and early on in my career, and no, but they took these massive steps and they freaking believed it. And by golly, now they're doing these massive things. That's not a coincidence. You know what I'm saying? So I love this this conversation of breakthrough, transformation. How do you create it in people? And I just want to commend you on your work, because it's more than just people feel better. It's something bigger than that.
Oh, we talk
You know what I
about
mean?
that every day.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why? Why are you here now? Like,
Right.
you've had this pain, you've been overweight, you've been exhausted, you've been tired, you've been dealing with, headaches for 10 years.
Mhm.
Why now? Like, you have to, and normally people are rarely do people seek change for pleasure. They think they do. But
Mhm.
most of the time, the real change comes when the pain is too hard to
Yeah.
live with.
It's so but what a great, again, I'm getting better at reframing that stuff, right? So, if you're listening to this and you've got a painful past or emotional pain or maybe even physical pain,
Yeah.
what an honor.
Yeah. It's
What an
telling you
opportunity.
something.
Exactly. I'll just share this quick story, because I think that kind of the details of this, but people really connect with the story. So again, put yourself in my shoes a year ago. Okay. So I just quit my job, fully self-employed, scared, but have a book launch on the books for November. So I'm like, I'm busy this time last year. I'm busy writing a book. I've just November 19th. Give me to November 19th. So you were at my book launch party, a lot of fun, huge wave of momentum.
Yeah.
Like emails are coming in, exactly what I wanted. The next day you could feel this momentum, this energy online. I live online, by the way. And 2 weeks to the day later, 2 weeks to the day, December the 3rd, I wake up and I have a identity theft. So my Facebook got hacked. My identity got stolen by 10 a.m. And by 4 p.m., my bank accounts are all compromised. Money's being emptied. Um, it took the whole day. It wasn't like one event. It was like this whole horrible day of just my phone was dinging constantly, and I was trying to stay ahead of it, and I did not get out ahead of it. And now this snowball was happening by 4 in the afternoon. And from 4 until 11 o'clock at night, me and my wife were on the phone with bank accounts, trying to close bank accounts. We would open up a new bank account. That one would get compromised. Dude, you want to talk about terrifying?
Yes.
Like it was, I'm not trying to use overly big language. It was the worst day of my life. It was so dark And if you've ever had your identity stolen, it feels gross.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do to stop it. And so we kind of had it secured by 11 p.m. Everybody went to bed. I didn't sleep a wink. I was literally dry heaving throughout the night because of the stress, right?
My gosh.
5 o'clock in the morning, I text my friend Craig out New York City.
Mm-hmm.
I said, Craig, if you got 30 seconds, call me. Sure enough, the phone starts ringing from New York City. And I pick up the phone. He goes, so how you doing? I go, well, not good, And he said this is his true story. He goes, with 100% confidence, he goes, Jerrid, this is going to be the best thing that ever happens to you.
Hmm.
And I pause and I'm like, okay. He goes, be flattered that this happened. He goes, there is something so powerful about to happen. He goes, we'll laugh about this someday. He goes, not today, not tomorrow. He goes, in the near distant future, we will look back and you will see how incredibly awesome this event is going to be. He goes, what an opportunity. And I go, what do you mean? I'm like, because all my social media accounts are gone except for LinkedIn.
Oh,
By the way, like I lived on like Instagram and Facebook.
yeah.
They're gone. Instant, so I'm like, I'm sitting there going, dude, how am I supposed to have a business? I don't even have an audience, And he said this. He goes, what an opportunity. And he goes, don't fight it. Don't panic. Don't be mad about it. He goes, the faster you surrender it, he goes, the faster it will come back. He goes, you'll have more time with your wife because you don't have social media now. And I'm like, I'm in the middle of like trying to build a business.
You're right. Yeah.
And
You're like, I just quit my job.
you know what? He goes, it's going to feel really uncomfortable. Just sit in it. Just sit and be. Damn. And I took him up on that offer. And the whole month of December, I sat and I just existed. Not in a just poor me way. I just felt it. And I think what was happening on the inside is there was this cleansing that was happening. And I didn't just sit around all day. I just got on my phone and I started like calling people that I knew. And I said, hey, the turn of the year is coming up. I go, hey, I got this book. Would you have me come in and do some seminars? Yeah. Right? At the end of the year, we were approaching the end of the year. My friend Craig goes, I would consider giving a big end of the year gift, which had been on my heart. And I'll spare you all the details, but I waited until 1:00 on New Year's Eve day to do it. And I did it. And it was a big check. And I don't say that to boast, but it represented every cent that I had made that I had not reinvested into my business. It was all of it. It was a net zero for the year after that check. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And as a business owner, you don't want to be at a net zero. Like,
no.
you know what I mean?
No.
And so, but that was what was on my
You
heart.
weren't in the red, but
I wasn't
still.
in the red, but it was like, I wept as I gave that check. Not because I was sad, but because it was surrender. And January, I had the biggest month of my life. I topped it in February, and I topped it in March. April was one of those months I had no income on the books. I 2x'd my biggest month. Now, again, I'm not talking about like, oh, look at me, look at what I was producing. But I was like, guys, this stuff works. It works. In the meantime, didn't mention mom passed away in March. I still don't know the answer as to why she left at that time, but what a very deep time in my life for her to pass. I don't know why, and I may never ever get that answer. But I got to tell you, I was with her as she took her last breath, and she's a reason why I'm so passionate about this type of work, because she needed breakthrough in her life, and I tried giving her the truth for 40 years, and she believes some of it, but not all of it. But I was there, as she took her last breath, and I said to her, this is true. And dude, if you don't believe me, go back and look at my stories in LinkedIn. But I said to her, Mom, you finally know the truth, like the moment she passed. And I was on stage 3 days later for a talk, and I shared that story.
Oh, I got goosebumps.
Yeah. And I said, I go, do you know why I'm here speaking to you guys? It was like, 250 state employees at a college. And I said, I'm not here to, dance around on stage and tell some stories. I go, I'm trying to help you see what's actually true about your life that you don't believe. Because if that changes, transformation happens. If we can unwire some of these lies and replace them with truth, the truth, you'll walk out of here a changed human being. That's the point.
Yeah.
And so again, I don't know how we got on this, but that's the work that we're doing. this is why we're doing what we do, because you're helping people, you're helping people set them free, and we're doing it with truth, and with, giving them tools and processes and understandings about things that they don't understand, so they can, guys, they can kind of find the answers. You know what I mean? Like, you got answers and you got processes, and so do I. But at the end of the day, like, people that are listening to this, you got it.
Mhm.
You got it, you know?
Mhm.
And, that I didn't believe that. And again, why am I passionate about that? Because I didn't believe that for 43 years. I was looking for an answer. Somebody's got an answer somewhere. He or she somewhere, this, whatever. And those things can help. Don't get me wrong. That book can help. That podcast can help. What if we got to a point where we just didn't even need that anymore?
Mm.
Like, we were so connected and so healed and so at ease and so fully alive. You didn't have to listen to a podcast. Wouldn't that be incredible?
Yeah, which kind of leads into, like, that two-part or that we talked about earlier of, "I'll be happy when."
Right. Yeah, there
"I'll
you
be
go.
happy when," like,
I forgot that question.
I no, it's okay. That was I love, I didn't know that story,
Yeah.
so that's yeah, thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that. But, I think that happiness, that joy, that peace, like, I just again, I write these, like, little 400 word articles for the newspaper every week,
Mhm.
and, in business, we had, like, really good months, and these are goals that I had for
Mhm.
years to hit, for a business owner, and we hit them, and I felt nothing.
Mhm.
Like, I felt happiness, but it was like this, "Oh, yeah, we're here." Like, there was almost an emptiness. It wasn't even this elation, excitement, like, "Let's go celebrate," type
Mhm.
of feeling, and I was on the phone with my coach just this week, and he's like, "Yeah, isn't that crazy when you actually realize it that more or when, that thing
Mhm.
or that relationship or that person, when you truly realize that that external thing that you are striving so freaking hard to get, and then you'll be happy, and
Mhm.
then you'll have peace,
Yeah.
and then you'll have joy, but it doesn't happen that way."
Yeah.
And that was really the first time that I really experienced that of like, I feel nothing,
Mm.
and I just hit a really big freaking goal, and it was, like, that joy, and so this whole last as we're speaking now, like, this whole last month, I'm, like, introspection, like, right? Like, "Holy crap, I really need to look at myself of, like, how can I have the peace, the joy, the
Right.
fun
Yeah.
now?" Like, if I were on my deathbed, like, not to go your mom under the bus, but, like, if I
Yeah, I know.
were, right?
Yeah.
Like, she has that peace, she has that
Yeah.
joy, but that's what we're
So how do you do that? So, I mean, that's the magic question, right? Like, how do I experience abundance and peace and prosperity now? Because as Dr. Joe Dispenza would talk about, and I listen to a fair amount of him,
Yeah.
but it's like, when that's a destination. When it's like, it actually is who I am. The fact that I may or may not have it is irrelevant to our
Mhm.
own psyche, right? So, like,
Yep.
how do we, because what you're saying is so funny, because people that have had billions of dollars are like, you don't want yachts. It's like, well, I'd actually like a yacht.
Yeah,
So it's like,
right?
it's a tough sell when you don't have the things. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But it's interesting that you hit that point, because what an honor that you had a chance to realize that, because then it makes you pause.
yeah.
You're like, okay, well, so if I hit the goal and it didn't actually do anything for me, so then what am I actually striving for, right? So I'd ask you, like, what is the goal? Is it peace? Is it, because, and that's sort of kind of a two-parter back to you. Like, I want to be content. I think contentment is a really, really
Mhm.
great characteristic. But I believe that contentment, but also a burning desire for more, can coexist. So let me ask you on your own show. So how do we how do we get to that point where we can have the fullness, the abundance, the peace, but yet still operate in a framework of always wanting to do more?
I think that's the goal of every person who is in alignment is you can still have these goals, and be content. And so, like, I think about when I am meditating or praying or just in my quiet zone and how much peace and joy I have in that moment. and then life happens, right? And we kind of lose it. But knowing that you have access to that dimension, to God, to universal intelligence, whatever you want to call it, at all times, I think that's where the power lies, is what you focus on is going to expand. So if you look at your world and see lack or fear or anxiety, like you alluded to earlier, it has to start from the belief. So like your actions, prior to actions, you have emotions. Prior to emotions, you have thoughts.
Hmm.
So and your thoughts are based off of your experiences that you're currently having, good or bad. But how we perceive good or bad is our perception of how we think. So when you got your identity stolen, your coach and your perspective in that moment was very, very different. How can one have a similar experience but two different perspectives or realities? I always give the analogy of a snake. Snake is in the room. I am in a stress response. Like, I am hightailing it out of here and running. Like, we went to the zoo the other day and I was like, "Oh, I don't even wanna look at them." Like, I just don't care for them. But some people are, like,
Drawn
so
drawn to them.
yes,
Yeah.
and they're beautiful and they're curious about them and they love the patterns. And I'm like, "How can we have the same reality of looking at this snake, but very, very different
Mm, good point. Yeah.
experiences?" And I think it comes down to how we perceive our reality. People are going to perceive their reality as shit, and they're also going to perceive the reality as good. But that external event or experience is always a perception.
Mhm.
It's how we perceive it. Can we use this? And I think our world will always give us contrast, right? Like I think contrast, when I say contrast, that's the label of good and bad that our world will label experiences as good or bad. Most people see death as bad
Mhm.
because they see the grief, but death can be this beautiful
Sure.
enlightenment as
Yeah.
well. Most people see getting let go of a job or getting fired as
Yeah.
bad. However, that can be very
Very good. Yeah,
freeing,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
And so it's all about how we are perceiving our environment. Bruce Lipton is this beautiful he has his book called Biology of Belief, and it's our perception that will have an influence on every
Mhm.
single cell. So how we think literally changes our biology, our neurology instantaneously. So if you want true peace and joy and happiness, this is truly a choice
Yeah.
of the reality that is given right now.
Yeah.
So if I think I will be happy when I get this amount of dollars, when I get this vehicle, when I have this land or house or this relationship or have that child, we are still we're still asking for happiness from an outside source. That's an outside in approach when in reality, any sort of happiness, I mean, we have to make sure our basic needs are met of food, water, and shelter,
Yeah.
right? So once our basic needs are met, there is no thing
Mhm.
that is going to make us
Yeah.
happier.
The irony in that is that if you want to have things,
Mhm.
it will always start with a mindset that actually attracts that or is that. You know what I'm saying? If
Absolutely.
I try to create, let's say, financial abundance from a place of lack, never happen. If I can change my inner reality, my thoughts, emotions, all of that
Mhm.
to prosperity. I always think prosperity isn't a number on a page, it's a mindset.
Oh, yeah.
It's a state of being, right?
Correct.
It's you have to become prosperous.
Mhm.
Have to become abundant, right? Ironically, coincidentally, those are the things that attract that. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? I saw somebody post something. They're like, if you were to pool all the money together in the world, that which you couldn't do, you put it all in one pile, it would naturally redistribute itself back to where it actually was.
100%. That's why people who
Right.
win the lottery,
It doesn't
don't have
work.
any money in a couple years
Right.
because that alignment
Right.
of financial, stability and making good choices
Yeah.
and that's not there yet. That's
Yeah.
not in their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really interesting when people, always point the finger at someone else
Yeah.
and have zero responsibility
Right,
for it.
right, right.
And
Going back to this, not sorry to interrupt, but like before I kind of went through my own transformation of like reshaping how I think, I would say it to my wife all the time and friends. I'm like, I am so good at making this much money. I can make this much money in my sleep. I can go to any job and make this much money. I cannot make $1 over that. It doesn't matter how hard I try. It doesn't matter where I work. It doesn't matter what projects I pursue. It will always be right there. Well, obviously, you know what was going on.
Mhm.
It was a limiting belief. It was a cap, And I look back now. I'm like, well, of course, that was my cap, because that's what I embodied.
Yeah.
That my embodiment was literally that much.
Mhm.
And since then, I've made more, not because look at me what I'm doing. It's because I'm changing my inner being,
Yeah.
and then thus attracts other opportunities that would represent that.
Mhm.
So again, we were chatting before we started recording. I'm a business owner, as you. I spend just as much time on shaping this thing
Mhm.
than I do like the work. I'm doing the work. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like, I have to make sure that that work is coming from a place of wholeness, of abundance, of prosperity, not to fill my bank account, because that's who I want to be, because those people are the most impactful and those are the people
Yeah.
the most connected. And what if I actually think about who I actually am, who my creator made me to be? He's an abundant guy.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to pick, a bone to pick with people, but like I see so many people they take contentment and humility to like a level, like as small as I play, the holier I am.
Mm.
If I'm going to showcase how committed I am to my faith by being as small as possible. I just don't subscribe to that.
Yeah.
I just don't. I heard somebody say one time, and I hate when people hear me talk for an hour and I loved it, but everything you said was great, but this one word, I hate that. So I try not to do that with people. But I heard a pastor one time give a sermon, and he was like, I know a lot of people, they are just such great people and they have sacrificed their dreams to like follow the Lord. And I just cringed a little bit, because I'm like, for me, fulfilling my dreams is following his will.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
These are not mutually exclusive events.
Yes.
If I truly want to honor my creator, as many people probably listening to this want to do, I cannot think of anything more honoring than stepping into who I am
Yes.
and connecting with that.
100%.
Ironically, when
Getting
you do that,
smaller does not help.
not do it.
No.
And ironically, that's when you have the most impact. That's when life becomes
Mhm.
bold and exciting, subtitle of my book. This is when you probably make the most money. And it's not about that. It's just a byproduct of like connecting. Your creator wants you to go be you
Yeah.
and go do you in the world.
Mhm.
A lot of people say too, they're like, you should go into ministry. I am
Yeah.
100% it. I go, there's a dirty
Mhm.
little secret I'll share with you on this show, and don't tell anybody. But like, I purposely didn't make my book a faith-driven book. I purposely didn't, because I didn't want it stuck on a faith shelf.
Mhm.
I want people picking up my book that feel out of alignment, and they actually discover their creator. They discover who they actually are. They discover this thing inside of them called a soul that has such divine power, and something magical happens when we connect with it. We find peace. And that's when we actually come alive. That's what I want.
I
But
think, yeah. I think that's super huge too. And, regardless of the faith background, like mind, body, spirit, it
absolutely.
like we are, I always tell people, like, what's the difference between me and a corpse? Well, there's no spirit left in a
Absolutely.
corpse.
Yeah.
Like, they still have, like, especially if you just passed
Yeah.
away, like,
Yeah.
or if you just died, it's like the only difference is the life has left them.
Absolutely.
They still have a heart, they still have lungs, they still, like, they have all the that's the difference.
Yeah.
And so I wanna point this out because I think this is huge when going back to the yacht and the belief, right?
Yeah.
Like, everyone wants, a couple $1,000,000 and a yacht, right? But do you believe you deserve that and are worthy of it and in putting enough value in the world to get that?
Mhm.
Because everybody wants to be wealthy. Everybody wants financial freedom. Everybody wants time freedom. Everyone wants the sexy relationship and, et cetera. But do you truly believe that you can have that?
Mhm. If the answer is no, guess what?
It's not gonna happen.
Never gonna happen, right?
You have to have this burning desire
Yeah.
and belief that it is true.
Yeah.
This is my truth.
Yeah, yeah. It's fantastic. Again, I get excited having these conversations because it reminds me that there is no defined path. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I get a choice. After I do a talk, I'll be signing books and I'll ask audience members, I'll say, what hit most? What I get most is people say, I realize I have a choice.
Mm.
Bingo. What there's no greater, we talk about privilege a lot in the world today, there's no greater privilege than the privilege to have a choice.
Yeah.
So it's like that, let's utilize that amazing um, thing that we have. And when people really get into that, man, you can start to create new realities. And that's what makes life exciting because I get a say. I get a say in what may or may not happen.
Yeah,
And that makes life fun.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to not be looking at you. I'm
Yeah,
just
that's
looking
okay.
at her notes because I'm like, holy crap, this conversation has gone by so fast.
Yeah. Well, you take it wherever you want to go. And
No,
we can start landing this plane
this
whenever.
is great.
Yeah.
I just want people to know more about your work a little bit.
Sure.
Tell everyone, what are you up to? What are you
What I do.
doing? I mean, you wrote a book. Your book is still very, very new. It was an Amazon bestseller. Uh, it was launched not even a year ago, last
Yeah.
November. So, what are you up to?
Yeah.
Tell the world.
Yeah, I do a lot of speaking. I've done a lot of coaching as well, like small group, one-on-one, and it's fun to help people.
Yeah.
And so, what's ahead? More of the same, just bigger. And so going into 2026, I want to do more but bigger stages. And it's not about so I get more on stage. It's just, people say, I'm a small town guy. A lot of people know me, and when you really, by the way, little heads up, if when you really start stepping into who you are, buckle up because like people will come out of the woodwork to take shots at you. And one guy telling me, he's like, who do you think you are, Tony Robbins? I was like, I wish I was Tony Robbins.
Right?
Absolutely, I would love that. Well, why would I want to be Tony Robbins? Because that dude has the ear of millions of people. How many people has he set free in his life? That'd be
Yeah.
incredible. Whether you agree with him or not, like he's doing good work. I
Yeah.
want to do good work. So just get ready for that if you are going to step out into who you are. But I just want to do more of it. I had for some reason, right around November, which is my birthday, that's when everything happens. So I'm planning another event for this November. Stay tuned on that. But I want to do another event, but bigger. And I don't mean bigger in size necessarily, bigger in impact.
Yeah.
Like I really want people. I'm talking with some folks, and they're helping me kind of set up this event, and like, I want people leaving changed. I want them leaving elevated. I want them leaving like, wow, that wasn't just I go and I listen to somebody talk, or I went to a networking event. There was a significant change in me leaving there. So I want to do more of those. And there's just so many hurting people out there. There just are. I mean, we're not even close to tapping, to getting saturated in this market, and so or in this niche. And so as I look ahead to 2026, I just want to be doing more of the same. And, again, would love to write another book someday. I don't know if I got one in me quite yet because it's a lot of energy, a lot of time and energy, as you know.
I know that.
Yeah. But so it's more of that, finding new ways to connect with people. I'm finding this is interesting too, Ashley. Like the stages are fun. But I've done a lot of these smaller intimate groups of like 10, 20 people, these little mini masterminds, and incredibly powerful.
Yes.
And so I'd like to even start those even regularly, and where you meet up and you find people and you come together. And there's something special when you get a number of people together and they all want to learn and they have an open mind.
Yes.
I get a lot out of those events.
Me too.
And so I think that there's room for more of those as well. And so I'm just trying to do a little bit of everything and just kind of, as we said, figure it out.
That's kind of what owning a business is, right?
If you want
There's
to
always that
get
little
ready,
bit of figuring out.
there's a roadmap, but it's never exact.
Yeah.
There's a template, but everybody's business is a little bit different. And
Yeah.
so it's gonna look. I know a lot of speakers, And they're all of their businesses are different, all of them,
Oh,
because their
100%.
personalities are different. The way that their genius is different.
Mhm.
So I can't just be like, well, I'm just going to copy him because it
Yeah.
won't work.
I have a coach, that once told me this question, and it's on my, like, weekly checklist. So in ClickUp, I have, like, an organized thing that I have to do every single week, and it's a question, that I have to ask myself every week, and it says, "What's your biggest constraint?" Because if you get rid of your constraints, your growth will come. And if you hit that on the nail and you consistently keep getting rid of constraints, there's only room for growth.
Growth, right?
So what's your biggest
Exactly.
constraint?
Oh, geez.
You don't have to answer that
Is that a
right now,
legit
but
question? I'll
no.
tell you.
I mean, you can if you
Okay.
want,
My
but
my biggest restraint is belief, honestly.
I think that's everyone's.
Yeah, it just is, and
But
I talk extensively about that with the people that I'm coaching, and they're trying to go
mhm,
up, Give me a temperature check on your belief. I'll ask them 3 things. I'll say, "What's your desire?" 10 out of 10.
mhm,
"What's your belief in your cause?" 10 out of 10. And "What's your belief in yourself?"
mm,
Desire, always 10 out of 10. Because
yep,
people that are growing, they want more.
yep,
Belief in your message, your business, always a 10 out of 10.
mm,
Rarely, rarely, belief in myself is a 10. It'll be like an 8, a 9, 5, occasionally a 10. So that's the one I focus on.
mm,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because I'm like, that one now, does it need to be 10 out of 10 all the time before you start a business? No, it has to be enough,
yeah,
but you want that
absolutely.
you wanna keep that one going.
Yeah,
So how do you do that? Well, reframe, take action, make sure your desire is high. These
mhm,
are all these, like, little buttons that have to kinda get pressed to make sure that thing is in check.
mhm,
But I think, again, we just kinda stumbled on a good point. You gotta make some moves. People that are stuck, that they're in a job that they hate, they're out of alignment, clearly,
mhm,
but yet they haven't done anything. "I don't know what to do. Oh my gosh, what if it's the wrong thing?" It probably will be.
yeah,
Great.
yeah,
But when you take action, you're initiating movement in the spiritual.
mhm,
You know what I mean? And so the people that have the biggest success, they jump into stuff. They almost want it to fail. They don't sit around and
yeah,
wonder, like, "Oh, I don't know
mhm.
if this is the right decision or not." They would almost rather it not be, because they know they're gonna actually figure it out faster.
Yeah, you can make 3 wrong decisions first, and then you're way ahead of the person that
Exactly.
hasn't made a decision yet.
Right,
So
and I have to remind myself of that,
mm,
because sometimes when I'm faced against a decision, I feel this overwhelm, and then I sit.
yep,
And I can feel my desire for it now, like, going
mhm,
down. That's bad,
mhm,
right? So you asked me what my biggest constraint is? Belief. It always comes down to belief. And so I'm always doing a heart check on my own belief and my own desire.
mm,
And the times when those 2 are hot, it
yeah,
always goes up.
mhm,
Hard, yes. Make mistakes, yes.
yeah,
But the growth is always up, always. Anyway,
love it. Alright, where can everyone find you? Socials, website? We'll have it linked
sure.
in the show notes too,
Yeah.
but, where can we find you?
Easiest way, my website, jaredsebesta.com. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn. Not sure when this
He
is
got his identity back.
Yeah,
We
not sure when this
have
is going to air, but yesterday I actually finally got back on Facebook officially.
Oh.
So nobody knows that. So just, proceed with caution. Make sure it's me.
Yeah,
But it will look like all my other social media accounts. But I'm gonna start building that out, this week as of the recording of this podcast. So hopefully back on there. But if you can't find me, you're not trying real hard. But go to my website. I've got tons of free resources on there. I've got free master classes on there. The most popular one is called How to Stop Playing Small. It's a
mm,
45-minute class. It's a click and play, but we go through some of these factors. We've touched on some of them here today. Like, what is the framework? What are the buttons that you need to push or maybe unpress to really help you kind of unlock that next level? So I would challenge you to go check it out. And also podcast, I've got one as well, The Breakthrough Effect, you mentioned as well. And that's a very pointed show. Guest, how do we create breakthrough? What did you do? How can we learn from that? So that's on iTunes as well.
love it. Alright, I'm gonna end with one last question.
Yeah.
Uh, how would you tell the audience to or what would you tell them to love their lives and themselves even more?
Oh man. I would tell them what I tell myself every morning on my morning gratitude walk. And it's one of 4 mantras, but I lack nothing. I
Mm,
really lack nothing. If I truly believe that I lack nothing, then everything that I do that day is out of wholeness.
Can I switch that? Can
Yeah.
I alter it a
Yeah,
little bit?
yeah. I'm always game for editing it.
There's abundance everywhere around me.
Okay.
So instead of framing it, I'm nitpicking you right now,
Yeah.
but words are powerful.
Yeah.
So more lack and nothing kind of mean the same thing. And so when we say those words, we're putting more lack and more nothing.
Mm,
But what's the opposite of lack and nothing? It's abundance and prosperity.
sure.
So there's abundance and prosperity
Right.
everywhere around me, surrounding me, hugging me, loving
Yeah.
me, and showing up everywhere in my
Yeah,
life.
it's beautiful. I like that. I'm a little drawn to lack because that's what I resonate with. But
Uh-huh.
I hear you and I know what you're saying. But as long as whatever mantra you use or program you try to install in your mind, just make sure that it's always pointing you towards a world that there's more. And there
Yes.
always is more.
100%.
Yeah,
And by no means, I love that you pointed that out. If something that we say doesn't align, it's probably not the right fit for you.
sure.
So if you're gonna have coaches, people on podcasts that like give you input, and you're like, that doesn't align. I'm gonna stick with what does. So
Eat the meat and spit out the bones, right?
yeah, absolutely. I love it.
I
Okay,
think it's
sorry, I interrupted you.
yeah.
So what were the 4 mantras?
Oh, the four mantras is number one, this is the best day of my life.
Ah. Mm-hmm.
And I need that one because my mind will always worry about the future. And
Mm-hmm.
so I must like stay today. So
Mm-hmm.
this is the best day of my life. I lack nothing. Number three is I have no problems. So the truth is I don't have any problems. I have challenges, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
have any problems. You know what I mean? Problems would indicate that I'm broke, but I'm not broke, right? And then the fourth one is I only have challenges that are here and designed to help me grow and expand.
Mm.
And so that's a big one. And again, I can speak very powerfully from that. I've had some big challenges just in the last calendar year. And there if I choose to assign them positive value, they will do nothing but uplift me.
Mm.
And so I think that that's such a powerful thing to remind myself and other people that the most powerful people will look back and they will assign positive value to the hard things, right? And they will
Mm-hmm.
always justify
Perspective.
on behalf of their creator for their good, right? And so when
Mm.
I see something very difficult happen in my life or other people's lives, I just remind them they want a why. Why? You may or may not get it, but you do have the power to choose to assign it value. And I'm always going to believe that the forces of this mystical world are always fighting for me. And if I can do that, then it actually propels me upward.
Mm.
But you know what? I say that here, like, look, I got it all figured out. I need to have an identity stolen right after launching a book for me to understand that. And I'm so thankful that happened.
Yeah.
So
Sucked. But
exactly, it was horrible, but I was like, I'm so glad that happened.
Mm.
I'm so glad that happened. My mom passed away 3 months later, and I said to my wife that night, I go, if I wasn't a man before, I'm a man now. And she goes, how do you feel? I go, I actually feel more empowered than ever. And so I've been able to speak with so much more authority. This is good. Thank you. Thank you that this happened. Difficult, heartbreaking, yes.
Yeah.
But what an amazing opportunity. So I think that that's a great way to end this. Like, have people get really real about what's happening in their life. Can you reframe that? Is this actually the world and God and its mysticism, like actually propelling you to the next level? And if you have the audacity and the courage to look at it through that lens, it does. It does. It does. And so I appreciate your work. Thanks for having me. Love your book.
Thank
Love
you.
your platform.
Thanks
This has
for
been awesome.
Thanks for being here. Love it. Thanks for tuning in to Love Your Life and Yourself. I hope today's episode gave you one more tool or one more truth to help you thrive in your health, happiness, and resilience. Remember, loving yourself isn't selfish, it's leadership. And it's the foundation for building a life that actually feels like yours. If this spoke to you, hit that follow button, leave a review, and send it to a friend who needs to hear it. And if you want to dive even deeper, grab a copy of my #1 best-selling book, Love Your Life and Yourself. It's the heart behind this podcast, and it's helped thousands of women step into a life they actually love. You can find it at drashleyrath.com or through the link in the show notes. Until next time, take care of you and keep choosing to love your life and yourself.